Hello, Augies Worldwide. I'm Dave Kassler, amateur radio call sign KE0OG, here with another episode of Ask Dave. Today's question comes to us from, Falk is the name he gives. Victor Echo 3, Golf November Sierra /QRP, he puts it. Normally does QRP type work. And he is going through a transition that eventually almost all of us are going to have to make. He says, "Hello, Dave. Recently I moved into a retirement home." You know what that means. Yeah, we went through all that with my mom and dad. Giving up your antenna in the backyard, hardly any DX in the new arrangements. I did have lots of radials back then, so I did not realize how good I had it. However, it occurred to me in his present situation that he could create an artificial ground that can be tuned. Do you have something like a tuner in reverse? How would you hook it up? I would like it to be portable. Sometimes I take my radio with me on trips, so it would have to be do-it-yourself small. Do you have such a thing in your files? Before we jump in to answer Falk's question, I would like to say a special thank you to Bob Bronkow for being one of my newest patrons. And I really appreciate the support that the patrons give to this channel. They keep the lights on, they keep things going, and I really appreciate it. This is a great way for you to contribute to the success of the channel, which is another way of saying that I've got to pay my assistant, we've got equipment that we need to buy, and often, like in the case of the Wolf River coil that was just reviewed, they didn't send it to me. I used channel funds to purchase it. So we need to be able to keep doing those things. So Bob, thank you very much. You too can become a patron of the channel by going to patreon.com/KE0OG, as listed below on the screen and in the text down below. So let's get on with discussing this. The answer is yes, actually. In a retirement home, you're dealing with a lot of seniors in a very small space. And a lot of them have pacemakers, a lot of them have hearing aids, and this sort of thing. And they have various electronic gadgets that help them sleep at night. I myself use a CPAP machine. So whatever you do, we got to be careful of that. If you keep your emissions QRP, you're probably in good shape. But if you use an indoor antenna, you're doubly handicapping yourself. Now, there are a variety of approaches. Most retirement homes that I have seen are fairly flat. They're 1, maybe 2 stories. So you're not getting dramatically in the air. If you have an apartment in one of these that you're paying rent on, which is the way a lot of these work, and then you pay on top of that for various services that you can get, like putting out your pills, helping with showers, and so on. I'm just keeping in my mind the situation my dad had. What you need to do, ideally, you'd have an outdoor antenna up on the roof, okay, and then gently take the coax down into your room, put a ground rod in right outside your window where it comes in. When I was in the Air Force, I went to the base commander, basically. I was living in the bachelor officers' quarters on the first floor, and it was a 2-story building. I asked him if I could put my antenna on the roof. It was a 14 AVQ. I would use bricks, large bricks like this, a flat roof, and I'd put the bricks out and use those to tie the guys to. So I wouldn't put any holes in the roof at all. And then I had just, I think, a piece of plywood that the antenna actually sat on. It was held up by the guys. And then the wire came down to my room outside, and I got a piece of plastic pipe and just ran it vertically down and then brought the wires over into my room. Never had any kinds of problems with that. And it worked fine, worked very well. So there are things you can do if you have a management there that is willing to do that, emphasizing the fact that it's extremely temporary. You can always just have someone go on the roof, remove the bricks, lower the antenna down to the ground by hand, practically, and take the coax out, and lo and behold, it's all gone. Okay, that can be made to work if you've got a management there that is at all flexible. Now, these days, a lot of these old folks' homes are owned by chains, and it's getting worse. What people will do is they'll start an old folks' home. They'll be very good, very nice, very helpful, and then when they get the home nearly full, they'll turn around and sell it to one of the chains. Then they move on and start a new one, and meanwhile the chain comes in and starts managing the home, and in order for them to make money, they have to raise rents and diminish services. So it's an unfortunate part, but that's the way the business works. Now let's talk about alternatives. Okay, one alternative, and you can use this indoors too, is a mag loop antenna. Now, the Chameleon P-loop is one that I have, but their F-loop is still for sale. And it's for QRP, because you set the antenna right next to you, and you have to turn a knob on it to tune it. And you'll tell in your radio, I'd suggest using headphones, tell in your radio when you get max noise, and then you can start going through the process of tuning it up to get it exactly just right. There is a little tuning aid available. Let's see, it's the guy in Brazil that sells these. I did a video on it a while back, a few years back. You clip it on to the mag loop antenna, and as you tune the antenna, the light will come on. You have to transmit, and you tune the antenna and the light will come on where it's properly tuned. It works really well. I have one of them. Got it from the guy at Dayton a few years ago. Now, he asks about artificial grounds. There are such a thing. What an artificial ground is a tuned counterpoise. A tuned counterpoise, okay? Now, let me read off some MFJs, best way to get it. These are products that MFJ has that have artificial grounds in them. Some of them are regular tuners that also have an artificial ground. Some of these are just artificial grounds. You can look them up on the MFJ website. One is built in particular for QRP. Basically, you're going to tune this counterpoise, so you're tuning both ways. This would work, for example, a long wire out the back or something like that. The MFJ, and I'm going to give you 4 part numbers, MFJ 931, MFJ 934, MFJ 9231, and MFJ 1644. These all have artificial grounds built into them. One of them is one where you can put up a whip antenna, tune the whip, and also tune the artificial ground. And that would work well inside a building. Most of the old folks' homes that I've seen around the country are actually built of wood, so you'll be able to get out of them fairly well, but you know, it's always better to have the antenna outside. Okay, so there you have it. There are lots of options for this type of thing. The one that sticks in my mind the most is just the mag loop set up on a little table by the window so you can get out. Now notice that the mag loop this way as you go straight through the thing is where the null is. And you don't want the null pointed outside. So turn that loop so it's perpendicular to the window and then operate that way. That should help you quite a bit. If you have a little patio, you are really in luck. You can do this out on the patio. So there you have it. If you would like to support this channel, you certainly can. Go to dcastler.com/support. Pick a way that works for you. Be sure to subscribe and click like and all that sort of thing. And until we next meet, 73.